All right, 77. Since two, as I have often observed, we bring over people in general to our opinions by three methods: by instructing their understandings, conciliating their benevolence, or exciting their passions. One only of these three methods is to be professed by us, so that we may appear to desire nothing else but to instruct the other. Two, like blood throughout the body, ought to be diffused through the whole of our pleading. For both the beginning and the other parts of a speech, on which we will by and by say a few words, ought to have this power in a great degree, so that they may penetrate the minds of those before whom we plead, in order to excite them. But in those parts of the speech which, though they do not convince by argument, yet by solicitation and excitement produce great effect, though their proper place is chiefly in the exordium and the peroration, still to make a digression from what you have proposed and are discussing, for the sake of exciting the passions, is often advantageous, since, after the statement of the case has been made, an opportunity often presents itself of making a digression to rouse the feelings of the audience. Or this may be properly done after the confirmation of our own arguments, or the refutation of those on the other side, or in either place, or in all, if the cause has sufficient copiousness and importance. And those causes are the most considerable and most pregnant with matter for amplification and embellishment, which afford the most frequent opportunities for that kind of digression, in which you may descant on those points by which the passions of the audience are either excited or calmed. In touching on this matter, I cannot but blame those who place the arguments to which they trust least in the front, and in like manner I think that they commit an error who, if ever they employ several advocates, a practice which never had my approbation, will have him to speak first in whom they confide least, and rank the others also according to their abilities. For a cause requires that the expectations of the audience should be met with all possible expedition, and if nothing to satisfy them be offered in the commencement, much more labor is necessary in the sequel, for that case is in a bad condition which does not at the commencement of the pleading at once appear to be the better. For this reason, as in regard to pleaders, he who is the most able should speak first, so in regard to a speech, let the arguments of most weight be put foremost. Yet so that this rule be observed with respect to both, that some of superior efficiency be reserved for the peroration, if any are but of moderate strength, for to the weak no place should be given at all. They may be thrown into the main body and into the midst of the group. All these things being duly considered, it is then my custom to think last of that which is to be spoken first, namely, what exordium I shall adopt. For whenever I have felt inclined to think of that first, nothing occurs to me but what is jejune, or nugatory, or vulgar, or ordinary. 78. The beginnings of speeches ought always to be accurate and judicious, well furnished with thoughts, and happy in expression, as well as peculiarly suited to their respective causes. For our earliest acquaintance with a speech, as it were, and the first recommendation of it to our notice, is at the commencement, which ought at once to propitiate and attract the audience. In regard to this point, I cannot but feel astonished, not indeed as such as have paid no attention to the art, but at a man of singular eloquence and erudition. I mean Philippus, who generally rises to speak with so little preparation that he knows not what word he shall utter first, and he says that when he has warmed his arm, then it is his custom to begin to fight. But he does not consider that those from whom he takes this simile hurl their first lances gently, so as to preserve the utmost grace in their action, and at the same time to husband their strength. Nor is there any doubt but that the beginning of a speech ought very seldom to be vehement and pugnacious. But if even in the combat of gladiators for life, which is decided by the sword, many passes are made previous to the actual encounter, which appear to be intended not for mischief, but for display, how much more naturally is such prelude to be expected in a speech in which an exhibition of force is not more required than gratification. Besides, there is nothing in the whole nature of things that is all produced at once, and that springs entire into being in an instant. And nature herself has introduced everything that is done and accomplished most energetically with a moderate beginning. Nor is the exordium of a speech to be sought from without or from anything unconnected with the subject, but to be derived from the very essence of the cause. It is, therefore, after the whole cause has been considered and examined, and after every argument has been excogitated and prepared, that you must determine what sort of exordium to adopt. For thus it will easily be settled, as it will be drawn from those points which are most fertile in arguments, or in those matters on which I said you ought often to make digressions. Thus our exordia will give additional weight when they are drawn from the most intimate parts of our defense, and it will be shown that they are not only not common and cannot be transferred to other causes, but that they have wholly grown out of the cause under consideration.